Ken around about 1978. And I wasn't young, I mean, I wasn't old, I think I was about 28. And I think Kенjha was formally established in 1982.
And where did the name come from?
Well, initially we were going to have Jan Ken, but that was already taken. So Kенjha became just a combination of the two words, Ken and Jan, Kенjha. We sort of began putting together the different work we were doing. I'd just come back from England. I was an actor with a big A, you know, capital A. And I met Ken, and he had a very large and effective reputation for the work he was doing with this meditation, which we call energy conversion. And he was interested in the work that I was doing, which was basically, as part of my active training, we'd done a thing called clowning, and the intention of the clowning was to attempt to get the performer to be able to come in contact with what people sometimes call an inner child, or what we call the human. So we sort of began to put the two things together. We began to give workshops together, all sorts of different things, and then Kенjha grew out of that interaction. Kенjha is a whole way of life, and we've used performance skills to enhance this and get people in reality with, they can use illusions, they do use illusions, and they can use them creatively.
I am weighted down. I'm weighted down with this terrible negative thought, which is blah, 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 whatever it is. But it's not me, okay? Thank you. Off you go.
My name is Sally.
Yeah?
And I am weighted down by this terrible thought that I might never ever get married. It's actually not my thought at all.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name is Beryl.
Yeah?
And I've got this terrible thought in my head that I'm just about to lose it. And I'm going to go crazy.
Right.
And no one's going to really like me.
Yes.
And I might cut up under a stone and fall away and...
When you start to do this,
Yeah.
and you start to say, where do these thoughts come from? I don't like them.
But it's not my thought. So.
For my personal belief, my experience through years of experience, is that it's a spirit that can no longer have a body. There's a chain of them. There's a chain of attached spirits, which goes right back past this lifetime, right back to other lifetimes. When that happens, it's no good me stopping this here, because if I've got to get to the final beginning, which could be 20 lifetimes ago. So that could take me 5 hours to do that. 4 hours, which is more likely. 4 hours. So I've done sessions for 4 hours. And intense. Just because this identity hasn't got a body there, doesn't mean to say it's not there. One attached spirit could control 15% of your life. Another one could control another 20%. So each time, a section of your life is free. They've been going through their whole life thinking they were their thoughts. But they will never think they were their thoughts again.
1, 2, 3!
I've found it just helps me to be more effective in what I want to do. That's really what I've got most out of it, you know, both in my business life and my personal life. When I first got involved with Kенjha and energy conversion, I had a struggling little store, retail store. I've always sort of been a bit entrepreneurial, but was never able to be really successful with it.
We went through a time when the kids were really tiny and we nearly went bankrupt. If we hadn't had energy conversion at that point, it would have been very easy to give in and say, I give up, that's okay, we got to go bankrupt now. But Mike never did that.
You need a certain level of detachment to operate effectively,
Yeah.
and that's what energy conversion helps.
Mike created a new product, and he created rice cakes at first that got big, and then corn thins. It's original thought because you're right outside the square. You don't have the constraints that simply energy laden in your energy field causes.
So that's it, pull it real thin. Ken often talks about energy, doesn't he? And he talks about changing energy from one sort to another. What could we use to make sure that the felt didn't fall off the tables?
Friction.
Yes, yes, yes.
Even in schools, they don't want to teach science sometimes because they're afraid of it. But you had a culture there at Kенja that admired the learning of physics. And so over 20 years, I've had the chance to have groups of kids, you know, that I could learn on. They're able to take what they're learning in their classes about the energy, the work that Ken talks about, the energy work, and talk about that's energy translating into another form. And they're answering questions on that.
When it's harder to push through, is there more friction or less friction?
Less friction.
More friction.
You would not find anywhere the space to do something like that, where you had the kids, the family, the culture that really acknowledged and wasn't afraid of physics, you know.
How does it make you feel when you read in the media that Kendra's a cult or Ken is a cult leader?
I think they didn't get it right. They didn't understand. No one told them the whole story. If they knew, they wouldn't say that, because it is nothing.
I think it's upsetting because, you know, it really is the opposite to a cult in that the whole thrust of what we do at Kенja is teaching self-determinism. And there's not any coercion involved in it. People can come and go as they please. So I think it's, yeah.
What would you say to someone who is saying, but isn't Kendra a cult?
You can call it, yes. It depends on how you look at it. You can say football's a cult. What's the difference? What's a cult?
It's a big mistake to think that only weak, silly people who are gullible get drawn into these groups. In fact, the techniques work best on people who are above average intelligence, with good concentration, who are vulnerable for some reason, or not even necessarily vulnerable as much as restless and dissatisfied with some aspect of their life.
When I'm travelling, I was sort of looking for something. This was in the early 80s, you know. I was looking for something, and I came back ready to get my teeth into something a bit meaningful. So Kенja kind of filled that spot. You know, I was very idealistic at the time, so I wanted to do something that had a bit of, you know, that was purposeful. And Kенja helped me with my own joy of life. So it was a fun place to be, but also just in feeling like it's something that's going to make the world a better place in the long run as well.
Everyone seems to want to develop their potential. So human potential movements are just going through the roof. Everyone wants to join some kind of human potential movement. And of course we know that as a fact. No matter how hard we work on ourselves, we're always basically human beings and we never quite make it. So there's a real market to become the ultimate person and the ultimate human.
And 20 years on, you still feel like that?
Absolutely, even more so. I mean, it seems like a long time doing one thing, but it's never the same. So it's actually, you know, always something new coming up, and then you're changing yourself. So, you know, there's never a dull moment.